Welcome to part two. In part one, we were discussing the what and the when about the planned economy. Now we're going to discuss how to actually thrive in this new planned economy, even though you're not going to be taking part in it. Um, how you can operate outside of this new planned economy. So back in early March last year, I mentioned to a handful of friends that it's time to now start liquidating. And I said, and your best investment with this, with your now liquid cash, is to start investing in people. So that might be a little bit cryptic. I at least clarify a little. People can include yourself, but now I'm going to get specific. I'm going to give a bunch of points that you can check off. How you are going to handle your cash while the cash still has any market value. Use it while you can. Okay, so when I say liquidate, I literally mean, take your non-liquid assets, stocks, bonds, whatever investments, and turn them into fiat currency. So you can reallocate your wealth. Now, for those of you that do not have any assets to speak of, follow along. This guide is still going to be relevant to you. You're still going to want to follow this if you want to operate successfully, or navigate rather, because you're not really operating in the economy if you're following my recommendation. Okay. So I do want to make a clarification on my recommendation for liquidation. I'm not talking about real estate. Investment real estate, yes, particularly if it's in the cities, probably suburbs too. You might there'll be a short window where it might work out well for you, where there'll be a purchase period where the state is hungry to buy out a property, but it's basically all going to be returning to the state property or state. So if you hold on to it for too long, you're just gonna lose out. So don't hold on to it for investment purposes. Property you need to take out of kind of the asset mindset, and more just it's a need. So definitely do, if you own your home, that's a positive. And so you would liquidate it in that if you are currently in the city or in the suburbs, and you can see a whole bunch of development going up around you, and you'd be way too dependent on big daddy government for supplies, you're going to need to move further out, then liquidate that, but you're still going to just find a better spot to set up. And so yeah, just don't think of real estate as an asset anymore. And so you're still liquidating it in a sense. Okay. I'm not sure if that clarifies that or makes it more muddy, but anyway, there you go. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Now, when it comes to what you're going to actually invest it into, I think I'm just going to go through the steps, and then you'll see what I mean when I meant invest in people. So the first thing you want to do, now, if you currently have any source of income, great. Okay, so here's how you can allocate it, uh, or any sort of cash flow. If you do not have a sort of cash flow right now, you're going to want to find some form of cash flow. Uh, and I'm not saying go to illegal activity, but find some way of getting some form of cash flow so you can at least have this process in place. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to do, set aside 10%, not 109%, 10% for gratitude. Now, if this rings a bell, especially for Christians, am I talking about tithe? Sort of. I am. This is a biblical principle, but I'm just like I did for when I discussed Sabbath in the past. Is its first instance was not about rest. It was stopping the actual creating process and then moving into the enjoyment with your friends and family of the creation. So, in a similar fashion, tithing later on biblically was set up to support those that were ministering. Uh, but before that system was set up, the first instance of tithe was actually gratitude. So it was celebrating a military victory. And so it was, this priest Melchizedek came and blessed Abraham, and then and he gave him some gifts, and Abraham gave him a tenth of the plunder, and so they celebrated. And so that was the first instance of tithe. And so that principle, you're going to see how this comes full circle at the end and why this is so important. Now, when I say gratitude, what do I mean? This can be any number of things. This can be something to eat. In fact, this is probably my number one recommendation: something to eat or drink to ring in the weekend. So this ties very well with the concept of Sabbath. But it can also be you're setting aside to bless someone else's life. So take someone else out to eat. But whatever it is to express gratitude and to remember you're grateful for something. This is going to be very key moving through this. I cannot express just how important this is. If you are not going to go into what's coming with the ability to be grateful, you're going to lose hope, and you're just going to plug right back into the system with big daddy government taking care of you. So make this a priority. Now, the second thing you're going to want to do is, so, okay, you set aside the first 10% of your cash flow to gratitude. Okay. So second part is have supplies for at least 2 weeks. So I've mentioned this before, but bringing this up again, if you don't already have supplies, so that's basically water, food, and basic necessities of life for 2 weeks. If things go or not if, when things go south, you have breathing room. If you have nothing when the crash hits, you are going to panic and make mistakes. You're not going to want to panic. So have supply for 2 weeks. You don't want to be caught in a lineup again, waiting 3 hours to get some toilet paper at Costco or whatever. So have supplies. Look around your house. See what you're going to need. Common things you're going to need. That's going to include medication. Just take a tour of your kitchen, your medicine cabinet, your bathroom, whatever you would need that you might run out of in a couple week period. Make sure you're covered. Yep. So that I don't know what kind of percentage you would need. Just that's going to be your next priority for whatever cash flow you got coming in, or whatever you've been able to liquidate. So now that you got that 2 weeks, so now you know when things go south, you're not going to have to panic. You got some room to breathe. Okay. So now you're going to want to have everything necessary to grow your own food. Now this does not necessarily mean you're going to need to look at all that goes into being a full-time farmer. You're not turning yourself into a commercial farmer. This is about providing for you and your immediate family, and hopefully having a little bit of excess that you can use for trading. But you're probably not going to be butchering your own cows and chickens and whatnot. Any animals you keep will probably be just for vegetarian purposes rather than omnivore purposes. So if you've got cows, it's not likely you're going to be butchering them. It's just going to be so you can have your own milk. But if you just I loathe saying this, but vegan is going to be it's going to be the easy path going forward. It's going to be very easy to go vegan because it's going to require the least amount of work as just growing your own fruits and veggies and not having to constantly worry about taking care of cattle or chickens and whatnot. Chickens are relatively low maintenance, so for eggs, but still, fruits and veggies much easier to maintain. But when I say have everything necessary to grow fruit, so that's the seeds, but that's also the tools necessary to make that happen, and all the prep, the skills. Now the skills actually what we'll get into in a moment. This is more about the tangible things you will need. So have everything necessary to grow your own food. Okay? So in terms of allocating the money while it still has market value, well, you like all what have you got in your bank account, and you're not what you have available on your credit card. So maybe specific about that. We'll get to that in the next point. Whatever fiat currency you have available, this is how you're going to want to allocate an order of priority while it still has value, before the crash hits. Okay, so 4, get rid of debt. As much as possible, get rid of debt. Credit card debt, student loan debt, whatever. This will be a noose around your neck as we go into these upcoming times here. Now, some of you might want to try to game the system and think, okay, so as fiat currency tanks, so let's say you owe, $5,000 in your credit card, and you think, okay, now $5,000 means nothing as the economy is tanking, and I can easily acquire $5,000 to pay off my credit card. Don't try to play that game, because once this happens, your cash flow is going to you can't, you won't be able to account for everything that's going on. Once the crash like, it's going to go quick. Like I said, it's in the previous video, it's only going to take a couple weeks to go from what seems that might be an economy with some hope to nothing. So thinking that, yes, I will be able to pay off the debt during that devaluation, that massive, rapid hyperinflation, it's too risky. And if you have debt going into this, that will be used against you, and will be a legal case against you, as this society becomes very authoritarian. So try to get rid of all that debt. So, but this is in order of priority. So you can see be able to have a sense of gratitude is even more important than getting rid of debt. And again, you'll see how this comes full circle. Okay. And here we go. Here's the full circle part. Okay. Invest in things with non-currency returns. And so, primarily people. So, this, I guess you could say this is also an extension of 3 in some regards. But it's more than just the tangible things. Now, let's say you invest in someone else's project, like you loan money to someone else, and so that they're indebted to you now. So what happens when the crash happens and you forgive the debt? And then they are societally or morally indebted to you, because there's going to be a lot of witch hunts going on when this happens. And for those that could be pointed to as oppressors, will be pointed to as oppressors, whereas those who are morally upright, and not only morally upright, but seem to be a benefit to the community, in essence, beyond reproach. I mean, they're doing more good than the government. I mean, you're going to have people come to your defense. So this is what I meant from the beginning, is investing in people. Is you're going to have people come to your defense that otherwise you're going to have all these finger pointing everywhere at, this is the oppressor, this is the bourgeoisie, whatever word they're going to use. There's going to be fingers pointing everywhere to try to bring people down. So if you bring people up, you're going to have a much better time of it. Now, this can also include things to improve yourself. And that can be training, but that can also be things that you've been putting off. Like, for example, you need a new prescription, glasses, like your eyesight isn't, like I'm considering myself, maybe I should get some glasses with updated prescription. Take care of that now. Have dental work that needs. I just had some dental work done a few months ago. Got that taken care of. The services. Well, first of all, during the collapse, good luck getting any reliable services. But remember, we're talking about, we're assuming that you're not going to be part of this controlled economy. So you're not going to have these services available to you. Or, well, at least officially. Again, if you're investing in people, for example, if you have a chiropractor friend, you not be able to get official chiropractic services, but if you've got a chiropractor friend and he knows you're a swell guy, then hey, you might be able to get an adjustment without having to be part of the whole controlled economy. So there's going to be this is going to pay back big time. Now, it's going to come back so big. Now you're going to see, this is where I said you're going to see this come full circle. You're going to have more things to be grateful for, and you're going to have more people to be grateful with in this process. So both 1 and 5 really, come together in this regard. 5 is what allows really 1 to take place, but you really have to start with 1. This is really kind of a step in faith. If you're not coming ready with that spirit of gratitude, you're not going to be able to make it through this in the first place. So those are my recommendations thus far. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. And hopefully the communications stay up for the next couple of years so that I can interact with more people and help resolve any issues or questions. But ultimately, things are going to get more isolated in terms of, especially once the crash happens. And so you guys want to make sure you have these 5 steps on lock before this happens. Because once the crash actually happens, your currency is going to be like, this recommendation is no longer stands, because your liquidated assets are now in fiat currency. That currency is meaningless, and so you missed out. So take advantage of this wisdom while you still can, and take care, guys. Catch you in the next one.